steps are cool at dawn. Olive leaves still hold the night. Smoke is curling slow and thin. Names I whisper to the light. Sing, oh, sing to the stones and sky. Let the old words rise. Let the old words rise.
Yes, friends. Welcome back to another video. I kind of thought that the Gracchi brothers was done, but apparently there was a part 6. I did not expect that because both brothers are dead, but it turns out there's another one. The brothers Gracchi Gracchus the Elder, prequel in his footsteps. Extra history part 6. Let's see what this is.
Hello, everybody. We are super excited today to have Mike Duncan writing a guest episode for the show. He is the creator of the History of Rome podcast, which partly inspired the very first episode of this show ever, and the incredible Revolutions podcast, which you should absolutely check out as he's going over the life of Simon Bolivar in far more detail than we ever could. Even though, incidentally, we will be covering Simon Bolivar in a couple of months ourselves. Anyway, big thank you to Mike for writing this episode. In the 5 episodes we just made about the Gracchi brothers, we only briefly mentioned their father twice. Now, this is understandable.
Oh, so this is about Daddy Gracchi. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I'm pretty curious, like how this guy got to marry Scipio Africanus, the goat's daughter. Interesting. Gotta be important.
As his sons have come to overshadow him in the eyes of history. But in his own time, this guy had one of the greatest political and military careers imaginable. Understanding him is key to understanding the sons who wanted so badly to follow in his footsteps. So let's dive into the life of this elder Gracchi and the profound effect he had on his sons. Tiberius Gracchus the Elder was born just as the Second Punic War drew to a close. He first stepped onto the stage of history in 190 BC.
Second Punic War, we are like, damn, aren't we like, what, 2, we want to be like 1, maybe 215? 1 sec. Okay, it ended 201. That's pretty close.
BE, in the midst of the Seleucid War, which was being waged by the consul Lucius Cornelius Scipio with assistance from his brother, the legendary Scipio Africanus.
Okay. The war against Antiochus is a bit cloudy to me, but I'm pretty sure that Scipio Africanus, the goat, was sick and his brother Lucius did all the work. If I remember correctly. Nah. Pretty sure he was sick.
Gracchus was described by Livy as far and away the sharpest young man of that time. The Scipio brothers clearly felt the same, since they entrusted him with a vital mission. They needed him to secure. Antiochus was defeated.
Wasn't it Antiochus?
During that process, they also served as a clearinghouse for huge sums of money passing every which way. In addition to the piles of plunder won during the war, the brothers managed disbursements from Rome to cover legionary expenses, and were all too willing to accept bribes from local kings looking to secure Roman goodwill. By the time their work in the East was done, the brothers had frankly made out like bandits, and this landed them in pretty hot water when they returned home. Despite the fact that the Scipio brothers were now multiple times over the saviors of Rome, they...
Yeah, like, Scipio was the one who defeated Hannibal, and like, none of the other Romans stood a chance. Like, Hannibal would have destroyed Rome if it hadn't been for Scipio. And maybe his brother can take some glory for the war against the Seleucids. Scipio can't really.
found themselves charged with corruption. But luckily for them,
That's probably one of the worst wars I've seen ever. Okay, my boy Hannibal was made into an absolute joke, and Scipio joining the war and got sick. Damn.
just as charges were being brought, that same promising young Tiberius Gracchus was elected tribune of the plebes. And just as the trial was set to begin, Gracchus vetoed the proceedings. A tribune's veto was absolute. To the Scipio's great relief, the trial was stopped dead in its tracks. No doubt as a gesture of thanks for saving their hides, Scipio Africanus arranged a marriage between Gracchus and his daughter Cornelia. She was not only one of the most eligible bachelorettes in Rome, but an amazing woman in her own right. This was as advantageous a marriage as an ambitious...
Don't really know much about Cornelia, honestly, Scipio's daughter. We heard her shortly mentioned after Tiberius' death, but the only thing that was really said was that she wasn't happy. It's like, obviously.
Young politician could land. Gracchus was a rising star, and he meant to make the most of it. When he was elected aedile in 182, he aimed to make his name known far and wide by throwing the most lavish set of public games anyone had ever seen. And he succeeded. His games were, in fact, so ridiculously lavish that the Senate passed a law restricting the amount of money that could be spent on games in the future.
No more dinosaurs.
Now well-known, well-connected, and much beloved by the people, was then elected praetor in 180 and assigned to the province of Nearer Spain. There he would make his greatest mark. See, for the better part of a generation, the Celtiberians of Nearer Spain had been in revolt against the encroaching Romans. Gracchus turned that lengthy impasse right around with a fresh campaign that struck wide and hit hard. Later, he would claim to have sacked 300 different cities during his campaign. Granted, Gracchus's definition of what qualifies as a city was broad enough to include lonely watchtowers and small collections of huts, but...
So, both Gracchus and Tiberius fought in Spain. Interesting.
Still. But more important than his conquests was Gracchus's subsequent peace settlement. The Celtiberians were in revolt largely because they had been left insecure and landless by decades of turmoil in Spain. So Gracchus took it upon himself to gather the poor together into a community and distribute land to them. And it...
Yeah, that does sound pretty familiar with the Tiberius and Gaius. Okay. Gracchus was actually a pretty cool guy.
Worked. It was as much this redistribution of land as the Romans' military might which secured peace in Nearer Spain for the next 25 years. Since the story of Gracchus the Elder's legendary exploits in Spain would have been told to his sons Tiberius and Gaius time and time again, it's little wonder that redistribution of land became so central to their own radical reform efforts down the road. And of course, Gracchus the Elder's successful settlement is the reason his son Tiberius was the only man the Numantines would discuss terms with years.
Yeah, they respected Tiberius a lot, so that was because of his dad. Interesting. That's actually pretty cool. Not gonna lie. Because they knew he would stay true to his word.
Years later, when they trapped the legions of Gaius Mancinus. For his service in Spain, Gracchus justly received a triumph when he returned home. He was also promptly elected consul in 177, but he secured this position by playing a dangerous game in the world of elite family rivalries. You see, in Rome, they always elected 2 consuls to serve at the same time, and you would generally...
Yeah, they only served like 1 year. I still don't get the 2 consuls part, like...
want your co-consul to be somebody you got along with, like, say, someone from your wife's famous and powerful family. But Gracchus's partner in the consulship was not one of his Scipio in-laws, but Gaius Claudius Pulcher, leader of the ancient and venerable Claudii family, who just happened to be major rivals of the Scipios. Gracchus walked a very narrow political tightrope by attaching himself to the Claudii. Really, it was a major accomplishment that he managed to thrive while playing the great senatorial families off of each other. A lesser man would have wound up with a long knife lodged in his back. But his back remained knife-free, and now he had alliances with two of the most powerful families in Rome. He was no longer dependent solely on the Scipios to keep building his power and influence, and his alliance with the
Nice.
Claudii was built to last. Their sons would be staunch allies in the land reform struggles to come, with a young
Really?
Appius Claudius serving as Tiberius Gracchus the Younger's legislative partner and principal backer in the Senate. Riding high off of his political victory at home, Gracchus approached his military assignment as consul with a swagger in his step.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. Didn't know that the Claudii played such a big role too.
He had been assigned to protect the people of Sardinia from a pair of rebellious tribes.
Again, I really don't like the idea of two leaders at once. If they can't get along, then nothing good really happens. But again, it's only a year, so how much damage can you do in 1 year? By not doing anything or can't get along with the co-cons.
So he waged a sharp campaign just like he had in Spain and brought peace back to the island. So, just as in Spain, the Gracchi name was also honored in Sardinia. Remember when we talked about Gaius going to the people of Sardinia and imploring them to donate clothes to the soldiers during that harsh winter?
Yeah.
Well, his words carried extra weight with the people that day.
Yo! Is it just me, or did those brothers run in easy mode with their dad running hard mode? Damn. Okay. Daddy Gracchus was a wild guy. Pretty
to
impressive.
the memory of his father. For his services in Sardinia, Gracchus was subsequently awarded a second triumph, which was a nearly unprecedented feat in those days. Gracchus then proceeded on to his next prestigious accomplishment. He was elected censor for the year 169, sharing office once again with his old consular colleague, Gaius Claudius Pulcher. After his term as censor, Gaius joined a traveling embassy of senators on a trip through the eastern Mediterranean. Their job was to assess the status of the various client kingdoms, and Gracchus wrote a glowing endorsement of the Attalid dynasty of Pergamum. This forged a permanent friendship between the Attalids and the Gracchi.
Yeah, Pergamon is a pretty big ally to Rome. They fought together in the Macedonian Wars and the Seleucid War. So, yeah, they're pretty big allies.
Reason Tiberius the Younger was later able to pounce so quickly when word arrived that the king of Pergamum had died and willed the kingdom to Rome. Tiberius heard about the will before the Senate did because the ambassador bringing the news.
Yeah, I was told about that because I was really curious about suddenly the map I saw from the wars in Greece. Suddenly Pergamon was part of Rome, where I'm like, weren't you guys allies? Like, how did that happen? And I couldn't find a war that was in that area. But then I was told that Rome was given Pergamon in a will. That's pretty wild.
Literally stayed in his house. Again, we see the work of Tiberius Gracchus the Elder flowing directly to the events of 133. A few years later, Gracchus achieved yet another remarkable feat, winning a second consulship in 162. But
again, it does make sense that Pergamon did this. I don't know who is king of Pergamon now, if it's still the Eumenes, but he didn't have an heir, and I don't know if he has like brothers or something, but if he doesn't, then other families might just decide to fight for the throne, and it's easier to just give it to Rome and ensure like your people will have like a really, really good status in what seems to be a really, really increasingly expanding republic.
he sowed a far more negative seed for his sons. At the end of his term, Gracchus oversaw the election of the next year's consuls. Every election was also supposed to be overseen by an augur, who, in keeping with Rome's ancient traditions, observed the flight of the birds and announced whether or not the gods approved of holding a vote that day. But on this election day, Gracchus ignored the augur's warning about inauspicious omens, at least until he found out who won. Then he hastily claimed to have messed up part of the ritual, and that the newly elected consuls must resign, or the gods would be mad. One of the two men screwed out of his consulship was Publius Scipio Nasica Corculum. Remember when Tiberius was trying to get re-elected tribune and the senators were in a frenzy?
Wait, is he stabbing Scipios in the back right now? That's not good.
Over Tiberius's power plays and trying to get the consul to do something about it, but the consul refused, and then that one senator leapt up to his feet and said, "Since then the chief magistrate betrays the senate, do ye who wish to succor the laws follow me," and then led the violent attack which killed Tiberius and his followers? That guy was Publius Scipio Nasica.
Oh. Wait, he's Scipio. Wouldn't that make him like an uncle or something to Tiberius? Damn. That's next level holding a grudge.
Serapio, the son of the man Gracchus the Elder had once screwed out of a consulship. I will leave it to you to determine where political ideology leaves off and personal grudges begin. At the close of his second consulship, the now supremely eminent Gracchus joined yet another traveling embassy working its way through Greece and Asia. On his trip, Gracchus made further contacts and forged deeper bonds with foreign clients, whose wealth and influence could be called upon to help the family's political agenda back in Rome. See, the thing to understand is that when he finally retired from public life in the 160s, Tiberius Gracchus the Elder was not just another prominent senator. He was quite literally one of the most powerful men in Rome. Any Roman politician who won a single consulship, or who had been awarded a single triumph, could retire justly proud of a great political career.
Yeah, he has been doing a lot. He's a pretty impressive guy.
Tiberius won 2 consulships and had been awarded 2 triumphs. And he was not just linked to a powerful family, he lived at the intersection of the greatest families in Rome. And on top of that, he was miles ahead of his contemporaries on developing extensive foreign client networks, which allowed his family to dip into the wealth and power of the provinces. The Gracchi name was now spoken across the empire with respect, deference, and allegiance. As he settled in to begin raising a family, Tiberius Gracchus the Elder was nothing less than a living legend. In the world of elite Roman politics, you always aimed to at least match the feats of your ancestors, and hopefully do them one better. For Tiberius and Gaius Gracchus, this would have been a daunting assignment.
Yeah, that would have been pretty tough to match up to.
The weight of their father's accomplishments must have weighed heavy on their minds, and I think the looming question of how on earth do we surpass the fame of our father is an underappreciated motivating factor behind their subsequent conduct. But amazingly enough, they did surpass the fame of their father, which is why they got 5 episodes and dear old dad's incredible life is reduced to one measly...
Yeah, sure, but I kind of feel like they got more famous not because of what they did, but because of what they represent. So, yeah. I mean, that is probably the best example of a perfect a perfect guy for the Roman Republic. His sons was kind of reputation was kind of what the Republic needed, but wasn't ready for, so they died for it. So, yeah. I mean, his sons were great leaders too, but they couldn't play I think they overreached in a system that wanted them dead. So, yeah. So.
Prequel. But his life echoes through the history of Rome, not only for the feats he performed or for the sons he bore, but for the very way he viewed the provinces and the model of foreign clients. He may not have created this model, but he certainly demonstrated to everybody watching how it could forever change the power structure of Rome.
Damn. All right. Damn. Okay. A living legend. Absolutely amazing guy. I did not know that that was that impressive. But yes. Thank you so much, guys. This was extra history about the Gracchi brothers. Brothers Gracchi. Absolutely amazing channel. Absolutely amazing storytelling and learning experience. Yeah, so I will have the original link down in the description, and if you guys want to check out some more history videos, I'll have a playlist up on screen. If you guys want to check out some more some myths and mythology, I have some videos from Overly Sarcastic Production. I also need to get back to at some point. I need to be taught some more stuff from Red, but yeah, I might also check out Blue at some point, since I am doing some history. I saw that Blue has done some history of Rome, so yeah, I don't know if the Byzantine Empire, if I should do that under Roman history or Greek history, because even though they kind of call themselves Roman, they're kind of more Greek. I think I'm gonna do it under Greek history. So yeah, thank you so much, guys, for being here. See ya.
Bare feet in the furrowed ground, dust on my tongue, heat bearing down, sun like a hammer on my back. Name I was born with, they took that. But my chains flow soft like water, running through this tired soul. You can bind my hands together, you can't cage what rivers know.